Okay, everyone, can we talk about cast iron for a little bit? I do cook 90% of my meals in cast iron. And I'm not perfect, as well as Noah's anybody else. And I don't always cook my cast iron immediately when I'm done with it. It has never harmed my cast iron, and it's never done anything to it. Now, the only thing I will leave in my cast iron is grease. So if I've cooked some bacon, fried some eggs, I will leave it in there. And sometimes I will even pour it from one cast iron skillet into the next one, and it will just hold the grease until I get enough that I want to go outside and pour it out, because I don't always want to just go right then and go pour the hot grease out. So I had 3 cast iron skillets that all had grease in them. So I'm heating them all up on the stove, and I'm going to pour them all into one, go pour it outside. Now, the only thing is that I need to wash up all of my cast iron. So I've got those 3 with grease in it. I've got this one with a little bit of stuck-on cornbread that I had last night. And then I've got the one that I cooked the pork tenderloins in. And it's got pork tenderloin juice and some barbecue sauce. And then I have, let me rephrase it, I've got one more with some grease in it. Let me heat this one up. That's what I've got to clean tonight. So I'm going to show you the way I clean it and the tools that I use, and maybe you guys will get an idea. This is no different than any other skillet. It just, cast iron does not scratch anytime you use anything in it, and they will be around forever as long as you don't drop and break them. Now, to talk about the different brands of cast iron, yes, they are different. Now the main brand that you can get is Lodge, and you get that pretty much at any retail store, is the Lodge brand of cast iron. And I'm here to say the cast iron that I have that is older, that I know is a Wagner or is unmarked, like this cornbread pan, it is unmarked. I hope you guys can see that. There's no markings on it. Okay, and I probably have 8 or 9 different cast iron skillets in 8 or 9 different sizes. The biggest one I have, I think, is a 16-inch, and I can show that to you if you want to see it. I have one bacon press that my sister-in-law got me for Christmas. I love it. And I don't really wash it. I just rinse it off with hot water. And that's how I do all of my pans. I don't use any soap. I just run hot water in them, and I use this scratcher. My sister-in-law also got me for Christmas. It's a cast iron cleaner. I've got a scratcher like this that I use. I have a sponge that I use, and I also have a scraper, just a plastic scraper that scrapes these clean. And I seem to have no issue. I hope you guys can hear all of my water. I seem to have no issue getting any of this clean. Now, the skillets, I just put hot water and scrub them. Right now, I'm scrubbing this cornbread pan with this wiry thing. And I'll rub it around, scrub it, rinse it off with hot water. And then I will show you, it came out, got a little steak in there, hang on. And I will show you, it came out perfectly clean. Now, this is one of my older skillets, and I get my skillets either at my older skillets, either at a garage sale, off of Facebook, off of the garage sale sites, and that's where you have to get them handed down when they're older skillets. The Lodge skillets that I have now just are harder to clean, and they don't come as clean or as easily cleaned as the older skillets do. And I'll show you here in a second. I have 2 skillets that are both the same, but one's Lodge and one's an old Wagner that I found at a garage sale for like $2 or $3. So I'm going to show you this. This is the pork one that we had last night. See, it's got a little bit of pork and maybe a little bit of barbecue sauce in there. So I'm going to use this and hot water, no soap. And this is my biggest skillet that I have. I'm going to use a scratcher. I'm going to use this one for a little bit. And I'm telling you, if you know about cast iron or you do a lot with it, you know that the older stuff comes cleaner. The older brands, I guess. And I know there's other brands. That's just the only two that I can think of right now. And they just come cleaner a lot easier. And they also do not rust as easy. So now this is my big one. It's all clean. Let me check it. Oh, got a little spot here in the corner. Scratch that out. This is my big one. This is the one I make my biscuits in. I fry bacon. I fry sausage. This is my big one. I think it's a 60-inch. And it is a Ozarka Trails. So that is going to be a Walmart one. And I think I paid close to $20 for that one. It's a pretty big one. I like it. But it doesn't come as clean, as easy. And it rusts quicker than my older skillets. I don't know if you guys know how to care for cast iron. Oh, that's still warm that I heated the grease up in. This is the one that I told you is one of my older ones. It's round, it's flat. I had some grease in it, so I just heated it up. And I've either cooked bacon, sausage, or fried eggs in it. Just gonna run me some hot water in there. I'm going to start with this and scratch it around. A little too hot. Couldn't keep my hand in there. This one is a Griswold. This is one of the best skillets that I have. It came clean real quick. Now, if you can see right here, there is some buildup on it. And that's the way your cast iron pans are supposed to look. Let me see if I can show you. See how it's on the edge here? It's got a little buildup right there. And that is what protects them from rusting. It's got enough grease buildup on it that when you rinse it out, it stays protected and it doesn't rust. Now, after you wash all of your cast iron and it's washed, it's wet, you have to dry it, put it on the stove, take a little bit of grease or lard or Crisco, put it on there, let it get heated up, rub it on the inside, rub it on the outside, rub it on the handle, and then you can store your cast iron. If you do not do that, it will guarantee to rust. It's not just a little bit of grease. You got to rub it on there and get it all over. I have one wash rag, and I keep it in a bucket of lard. And every time it comes time to do cast iron pans, I wash 4 or 5 at a time. I put them on the stove. I get them heated up. I rub it around with the grease rag. It's my rag full of grease. I rub it around with that underneath, both sides, inside, outside handles, and let them set. Once they start smoking, I take them off and I set them over with all of my cast iron skillets and let them cool off that way. All right, and I also have this one that I got, and it is a Lodge, and it's just like the Griswold, but it's a Lodge. It's a flat one. I really like these for pancakes, to cook pancakes and maybe even fried eggs in. And so I just want to kind of go through the different ways and different ways that they cook and how they clean. Okay, this Lodge is a newer one. And so things stick to it kind of easy, but I've got to keep using it. If you don't use it, then it doesn't season and get better and better. It's always best when you use your cast iron and then you season it. I don't know if I told you, but seasoning, that's where you put it on the stove and you let it get heated up and then you rub some grease in it. That's how you season your pan. And you want to do that to them so that they don't rust. And that's called seasoning. All right, now I've got this one all the way clean. So I'm going to go ahead and set a couple of these on the stove and get them started heating them up. This can get to be kind of a chore, but it's the same thing. If I would wash these every night when I'm done, they wouldn't pile up on me. But of course, I like to hold over my grease. I use bacon grease to cook my eggs in. So then when I do that, then I end up having 4 or 5 skillets I have to wash. But today I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I had 7 skillets to wash because I've just procrastinated on doing it. And then I had the other 2 that I used last night. So I needed to get that done. Get that barbecue sauce out of the one and the cornbread mix out of the other. I don't know how well I can do this with one hand, but this is my greasy rag. I take it, I keep it in my bucket of lard. That's great. And I Take it like this and rub it around. And then I flip my skillet over. See, it's a Griswold. You can see it now. And rub the back of it. Also do the handle. It has to sit here until it starts to smoke, and then I know it's hot enough to take off of the fire. Okay, and then I also have this square pan, and it is a Griswold also. I didn't think that I would like having a square pan, but I seen it at a garage sale, and I went ahead and bought it. And I love that square pan. There's a lot of things that I do with it. I didn't think I would like it, but I do. I love it. Here's another lodge that I have. And I'm thinking you can see that. That is what I mean by smoking. Once it smokes like that, it's ready to take off the fire. And then I just set it in the stack with all of my other cast irons. The last cast iron skillet that I'm going to show you today is a Southern Living 50-year anniversary pan. I don't know if it's 50 years for Southern Living or 50 years from cast iron, but this is 1996 to 2016. And in 2016, my father and second mom got this for me, and I love it, and I take very good care of it because I want these pans to last until my children grow up. So I've got enough for my sons and my daughter, and I want them to be able to use these for the rest of their life. And that's what will happen if you teach them how to use them correctly and you teach them how to take care of them. So there's a lot of people now that don't know how, and they're doing this stainless steel and this copper and this coating, and things scratch off. They have to buy new ones. They don't stay as good as they should. They're not good for you to eat in, and that's where there's a lot of issues nowadays. I bought a $212 set of dishes, set of pots and pans, and they ruined within a year, and I was so upset. That's when I told my husband I'm changing over to cast iron full time. It took me a little while to learn how to use it, how to clean it properly, and how to care for it, but now that I've got it down, I wouldn't go back. I'm going to show you in a little bit how I cook steaks for supper. Best way to ever cook steaks, and I'm going to show you how to do that on my next video. You stay tuned.